2, yes, I know this is cheesy. Tell me what's fishy about future tense.
The R.
What about the R?
It stays.
Be more specific.
You don't drop the ending.
Right.
ER, AR.
So you don't drop the ending. So we're going to use the school of fish here in the order of a conjugation box. The first one is going to go with the yo form. What would be the verb comer for the yo form? Comere. So think of it as the body of the fish is the stem, which is the whole entire verb. You're not dropping anything. Then you attach his tail to him, which is your ending. Comere for the yo form. Okay, so just to help you remember, you don't drop anything. Okay. To form. Vivirás. Good. So again, the whole body there doesn't change. Stays the same. Then attach the tail, which is your ending. Vivirás. The el form of hablar. Hablará. Good. Okay. And then the nosotros form of nadar. Nadaremos. Good. And then since we skip vosotros, let's do nosotros again for escribir. Escribiremos. Or if you want to do vosotros, you can do escribiréis. And ellos form of beber. Beberán. Okay. So anything to do with regular verbs, again, don't drop your AR, your IR like we've always been doing. Keep it there. Add your ending. Attach the tail to it. All right, this bottom section has your square there split into 3 different parts. One smaller part and then 2 other equal parts. That's just a split. And to remind you that your irregulars, you have 3 different rules. The rule with the smallest amount of verbs is what? That's it and it's used. So you can write the stems there, or you can write the verbs, whichever one helps you. But Dear Harry helps you remember the 2, decir and hacer, DIR and HAR, which, remember, drop the EC or the CE. Now for either of these 2, doesn't matter which side you put them on, because you have 5 verbs for the first rule and 5 verbs for the second rule. So it doesn't matter what order you do this in. I just want to mention to you that, again, the other 2 rules, one of the rules is just dropping the final vowel, which is dropping the E, which is what these stems go with. And if you want to write the verbs that go with the stems, that's fine. And then for the other rule, you're going to drop the last vowel, which happens to be an E or an I, and then replace it with a D. Now, in the past, students have come up with different ways to remember these, and I want us to come up with acronyms to help you remember as well. But if you go back to your notes and you want to add a little information there for you to help you remember your verbs, if you look at your irregular section where you have your 3 different rules, okay? I'm going to put this up back up in just a second, okay? And I forgot to mention this, so let me come back to it before I forget. Group 1, you have to either memorize the 5 that go under group 1 that follow that rule, or if you notice, people have kind of given me different hints to help you remember this, because in my brain, it just knows what to do, but obviously your brain needs to remember what happens with each of these verbs. If you look before the ER, before the E that you're going to drop on all of these, they either have a B, a D, or an R. Which will not be the case for the others. So it might help you that for group 1, the final vowel dropped, which happens to be on this side right here, okay? All those stems before you add your endings, and again, they all end in R, so before that R, you're all going to have a B, a D, or an R. Okay? For group 2, again, once you drop and replace that final vowel, so you're going to drop the final vowel, replace with a D, they all have an N or an L before. So again, before you have your R, which you're going to have to with regular or irregular verbs, for group 2, they're going to end with an N or an L. So it helps you group them together instead of just having to memorize what comes under each one. Does that help? Okay. Yeah. And again, the bottom one, just Dear Harry, helps you remember that one. Okay. So again, if it helps, then just make sure that you remember basically, and you can add them on here again. When you drop the E, it's going to, before your R, it's going to have a B, a D, or an R. And then for replacing the last vowel with a D, it's going to end with an L or an N for those. Remember that you're going to use the same exact endings for AR, ER, IR verbs, and you're going to use the same box for regular verbs and the same box for irregular verbs as well. It's truly one box fits all. Okay. So you have to know your stems, your rules for your irregulars, and what I want you to do is I want you to come up with some type of acronym to help you remember. And again, sometimes the sillier you make them, the easier it is to remember. But do something that works for you. I'm going to show you some that have been done in the past so that you get an idea of what I want you to do. But the point of it being is to help you make sure that you remember all your verbs. Doesn't matter what order you remember them in, but you remember your verbs per each group of rules. Does that make sense? Here's an example of one that's been done in the past. Okay. The first two, and again, it doesn't matter if you do this last rule in the middle or this last rule at the end. It doesn't matter where you put the rules, and it doesn't matter what order these verbs are in, as long as you can come up with something that makes sense to you and you remember what the rule is, what the verbs are, keep those together, and then knowing what they change to. So for example, Dear Harry, Polly said Charlie has Queen Sally's very, very pretty tiara. Okay, that's one example. But everybody see how I want you to do it. I want you to group the rules together, no matter what order you put these initials or verbs in, as long as you keep your rules together. Everybody follow me? Okay, here's another example. Dear Harry Potter, said cats have quick sense to play very vivaciously. Okay. So it doesn't matter what order you have them in, which as long as you keep them in the